Hello Ds, and welcome back to the channel Benidorm by Anna, and welcome back to a special video from the interior side of Alicante region. We are in a small but gorgeous, incredible, stunning village that lives 100% from tourism. We are back to Guadalest. Enjoy today's video. Lovely Guadalest village is situated around 21 kilometers from Benidorm's town. It's full of brand new wineries that actually allow us to enjoy some great quality local wine of this area. Guadalest can be visited, as we did today, with a vehicle, either renting out a vehicle or bringing your own one, or grabbing one of our private tours that we offer on our channel Benidorm by Anna Tours and on the official website. And the other option would be to actually take a public bus. There is a public bus number 16 that goes directly from Benidorm town. It stops by the Mediterranean Avenue and many different points of Benidorm before it goes towards Guadalest. This bus, the bad thing is that it only goes once a day, and around 10 in the morning, depending the stop that you will choose, it will pick you up from Benidorm. And the ride is of about 1 hour, 1.5 hours, so it's quite long. The other way bus will be at around 1 p.m. So it gives you only just a tiny bit of time to enjoy the village. So sadly, it is not the best option. There are also excursions and different companies that do offer trips, guided tours to Guadalest village, but only on certain days of the week. And these days of the week tends to be way busier than the other ones because there's quite a lot of big buses that are arriving here with tourists. Guadalest is a picturesque village situated right next to the old castle, as you all might know, and it's situated in the Alicante province. The full name of this place is El Castel de Guadalest, which is the castle of Guadalest. Right here in front of us, you can see the tourism office right by this big parking lot. Parking here is €2 for the whole entire day, but if you're coming with a tour, you don't need to pay anything. And this is one of the most popular tourist attractions in Valencian community, and deservedly so. Surprisingly, even though it's quite remote road, it's quite steep, and it's high in the mountains, more than 2 million people, tourists, are visiting this place each year. And the curious thing is that here live way less than 300 of people throughout the whole entire year, and it receives so many visitors. This place is also quite famous because there's a lot of museums per people living here. There's different types of them. In front of us, we have the museum, Micro Gigantic Museum, which has a lot of different curious pieces that compose all this interesting place. Right in front of it, this was the place called Lavadero, which is basically where locals were making the laundry back in the days with the natural water that was coming from the mountains and the rivers here nearby. Now it's just a part of attraction and the history of the area. This is one of the museums. Quite a lot of these museums are paid, so you need to pay between just a couple of euros. Almost all the entrance fees are less than 10 euros out here. There's also a medieval torture museum and much more, which we will be discovering in today's video. Here on the entrance, they have a lot of information. Sadly, a lot of it is in Spanish, but this year, Guadalest is celebrating the 50th anniversary of being officially named the part of historical and artistic piece of our region. And there were some celebrations, just a couple of them, at the end of April. So this year is very important to Guadalest. There are many tiny streets that have a lot of bars, cafes, restaurants where you can sit down and enjoy the day, or stop and relax before continuing to explore the area. Some of the shops offer typical products like these ones, mini markets and pastry shops. Upon the entrance, we can find already some typical sweet pastries that they offer here. Some of them are typical, some of them are just basic of the area or something typical in Spain. But the good thing about it and the best thing is this one right here. On the left side, we have a lot of typical wines of this region, and they are of a very, very good quality and not too expensive wines. Wine in Spain doesn't need to be expensive to be good. That's the main thing you should learn about Spanish wine. There's jams, there's typical chocolates here in the area. Curious that Marcos Tonda, this is actually chocolate from Villajoyosa, but it's also being sold right here. These are our lands, local producers and those who bring something special from this area. There's a lot of liquors and creams of nísperos, wine from local winery Bodegas Chalot, and it's not too expensive, 14 euros. We've spent 8 euros in total for a croissant and 3 typical Spanish empanadillas. So it's not too expensive either. This is a usual pricing. From here, there's many tiny streets that go around Guadalest. But if you want to go towards the castle, this is the one that you could follow. This street is also great if you are using a wheelchair or if you have a mobility scooter, if you have a children's buggy. This right here doesn't have any kind of stairs, and it's quite easy to get from this area towards the castle and the viewpoints. The other street, which is the one that we will be returning on our way out, does have stairs. It does have quite a difficult access, so those who cannot climb up and need a plain road, this is where you should be going. One of the unique places is this restaurant, El Huerto in Spanish. This is a house. It's a made of restaurant right now, and it has an incredible, stunning terrace with the best views towards the valley, the mountains, the natural park, and the Mediterranean Sea. It's not open because it's early in the morning. It's 10 in the morning right now, but on midday/evening, it will be open. This is another museum of Antonio Marco, which is Belén. They have unique Beléns. This is a place where you see houses and churches of very, very teeny tiny ones made as authentic houses. And they say that it's actually unique in the world with all the typical utensils that are used in the house. Very, very interesting place to discover if you have time. On the right, we have a playground. If you're coming with children or grandchildren, that is just ideal. Before, there was slightly more of a natural shade and there were more places to have some picnic, but they've changed it and they've left only one single table out there, which is not completely rational. Before, quite a lot of people came here. There were at least 3 picnic tables here and some more natural shade. And people were able just to enjoy, sit down, grab some drinks, snacks, and spend some quality time here relaxing while children played on the playground. But now it's not entirely possible. All these gardens that you see next to you, these gorgeous palm trees on the sunshine. There's a lot of fruit trees such as mandarins, oranges. There's nísperos, which is this typical Chinese plum that has been cultivated here for decades and centuries in Spain. Plus the almond trees, the olive trees. All this makes a very, very unique and gorgeous sightseeing place out of Guadalest. It almost looks like a movie scene, doesn't it? But it is quite real. This place was founded actually by the Moors. I'm sure a lot of you know this story. And the oldest part of it can only be reached by foot through a gateway that is made inside of the rock, which is the axis we are approaching right now. At the top, there are still some ruins of the castle, and the church's belfry are perched spectacularly on the edge of the mountain. This is the one and only access that you will find towards the castle area. It's quite steep, it's quite slippery, so make sure you bring a comfortable footwear in order to not to fall down. There is one part that is for boogies, maybe not mobility scooters because they tend to be quite wide, but for a wheelchair, yes, it is quite suitable. And the only stairs that you will have, the only part of it is this one right here of the tunnel. That's the only one you would need to a tiny bit of help, to ask for a tiny bit of help, but all the rest can be accessed right here. In front of us, we have the famous house of the family Orduña. This is the most important family. It's a museum type of house and you need to pay to enter it. But this is what gives you the access not only to the house, but to the castle and the ruins of the rests, better to say, of the castle. And the rest of the castle are right there on the top. This is where you will be passing through in order to see even more stunning views of the area. These teeny tiny cozy streets are full of magic and a lot of shops, a lot of places to see. One of them is the church, for example. Out of respect, obviously, we will not be getting inside with the camera to show it to you. But this is a church from the 18th century. And right in front of it, there is the typical house of a family of the 18th century that you will be able to visit. This house is free of charge. You don't have to pay anything at all. But they do accept donations. So if you want to make sure that they will keep thriving, they will be here, they will keep surviving, then a small donation, even if it's just €1, €2, or maybe some cents, it doesn't matter. It's just to help these people to survive and stay here. Many souvenir shops here are offering handmade art pieces to put inside of a home. There's obviously magnets. There's much more than that as well. A museum of micro miniatures, which is quite curious. A lot of these you can barely see with the naked eye. And it's interesting that they have more than 1,000 curiosities according to the owners of these museums. And the ticket can be purchased directly on the inside. They say they have the most surprising collection of a miniature art and outstanding in its artistic quality. The Statue of Liberty that can be seen in an eye of a needle. Imagine this. This is only with a magnifying glass because if not, it's probably impossible to see. Many of these bars are opening up right now. Starting from 10 in the morning, 10:30 is when you will be able to see the vast majority of these places already open. If you come earlier than that, you will find that the streets are quite closed and there's not much more to do except for the sightseeing and the views, which is already more than enough. Some of the best views can be seen from the main square, which is where we are located right now. This is the Lake of Guadalest, how you could call it, and this is a unique place. The river of Guadalest has been dammed to form a reservoir of a kind to keep some water for the future needs. The thing is that sadly right now you will be able to see that if you search for older pictures of the Guadalest River and this area, you will see that it's way more empty than it should be. It's around 36% of its capacity. But still, it looks beautiful from the village and the castle itself from different angles. It has a very special color thanks to the particular minerals that are located in this area. This is why it's such a turquoise blue type of color. Here on the main square, you will be able to find different businesses that offer typical products. There will be shops that offer you typical souvenirs, that do offer you handmade leather things like bags, accessories, belts. There's gonna be even jewelry that you will be able to see. And obviously here on top is where there are the rests and remains of the castle. Only a tiny bit. And all that white house out there at the end is the old house of the family. From there, you will be able to see the typical furniture, how people lived, and the history of those who lived here in the 18th century. Where and how they've worked, how workers lived, how slightly more higher class, let's say, families did live here in the area. And you will be able to actually get to know more of the Spanish culture back in the days. There are several viewpoints that we recommend you to visit. But if you're afraid of heights, don't come too close towards the end. All this area right now is being overtaken by the local wineries. And as you can see, there's a lot of very, very young vineyards that are actually, or will better to say, be producing excellent quality wine very, very soon. This is where you will exit from the visit of the house and the castle. And there are some bars where you can enjoy some drinks, some breakfast, some snacks, or even midday meals. And some of them offer quite affordable menus. I would dare to say that the prices would be of around between 13, 15 euros, more towards 17, maybe even 20 maximum. This would be the typical range of the prices for menus here in the area. But we are in a touristic village, hence the prices will be slightly higher, just a tiny bit, than in any other place that is not so touristic as this one. Here you can see all the souvenirs and all the things that you were able to purchase. Mostly people do bring magnets. There's even magnets with your own name on them. People bring some quality products such as extra virgin olive oil, wine, marmalades, jams, some nísperos that are being put with some syrup, or anything else that is typical of this region. Rarely people purchase bigger things such as handmade ceramics or some bigger decorations for their household, since a lot of people are coming here by plane and they simply do not have enough space or capacity to bring all these things with them. But it is true that a lot of these pieces are unique pieces of art. Right here at the main square as well, you will be able to find the small part of the town hall, which is what you've seen already. And there are even some dungeons dating back to the 12th century. In general, this castle part was built in the 11th century by the Muslims, as you might know. And it is probably Guadalest's most photographed monument of all times. It appears in every single magnet or a cup or a picture, something to remember this place. It always appears. And the castle is also known as the Castle of Saint Joseph. And it has been modified at various points in history. Guadalest has suffered some natural catastrophes, for example, earthquakes a couple of times. And each of these times, both the castle and the typical house of the family Orduña have suffered quite a lot. Look at this. Do you see this like stem? This like it looks like a stick glued to a tree that's no longer there, but it's actually alive. And it's a new almond tree that is growing from there, with some teeny tiny green almonds on it. That's actually incredible. This is the same place where we came onto, which is this small tunnel. This is the only entrance towards Guadalest. This white piece right here is a part of the family house of Orduña, which means that it goes directly inside of the mountains, inside of the rock. All this upper part is the house of the family. Just look at how secure it actually was. In summer, there is an incredible breeze by this tunnel. It looks like a natural air conditioning system. So when you walk here, it will be actually quite nice and chilly. And when we go out, these are the views that we are able to see. Gorgeous palm trees, a lot of plants, a lot of flowers, and all the valley can be seen from here. Benidorm is hiding right behind these mountains out there. Be careful once again when you go down because it is very, very slippery, especially if it's been humid, if it's been raining, and even if not, a lot of these stones and minerals are so polished that using some inappropriate footwear can cost you a lot and you might fall down. So be careful with it. Right in front of us, we have these 50th and 30th anniversaries that's been celebrating here in the area. Very, very important for our region and for tourism of Valencian community. Right above the cross, there is a very big hand-painted tiles that actually show you that there are many places where the nature has left some unique pieces of art, but there is nothing like Guadalest and nothing that can be duplicated like this piece of natural art that we can see here in the area. And it couldn't be less of a truth. Just look at the gorgeous views that we have in this incredible small village with less than 300 residents in the area. There are many bars, restaurants, cafeterias, and museums as well. This one is very interesting. It's been closed for quite a lot of times, but only now, even if we've visited it a lot of the times, we've spotted that these kind of cactuses are not actually cactus. These are false and these are arms. This was the magical garden that you were able to visit, but for some reason, it's been closed for quite a while now. And it's a shame because it would be an interesting museum, an extra one to add for your stop here in Guadalest. We are heading through the upper street, the more touristic one. This is true that has quite a few stairs and quite a few steps. And coming here with a children's buggy is not always comfortable. Unless some of you can hold the baby and the other one can use a buggy and lift it up and bring it towards here. But if not, you have the other street to go around, which is a shame because here you can find some more typical houses, you can find some more businesses and unique pieces of art that can be purchased out here. Right now, it's already past 11, slightly past 11 a.m. And as you can see, more people started to arrive. More businesses have opened up. Cafeterias, bars, and terraces are slowly but surely filling up with people. Not only tourists, but locals as well. And from one of these streets, we will head to the place where we've never ever been before. There are many teeny tiny streets where you will be able to see actually the houses of someone, those who live here the whole entire year. Be careful, if the house is open, it doesn't mean that it's open for public, because there have been tourists that have just entered a random home thinking it's a museum of a kind, and it's not actually true, so be careful with it. But other than that, you can explore freely. This is one of the squares that tourists, I'm quite sure, do not know about. It's not too touristic. There is nothing here as it is, but it's surrounded with the gorgeous natural mountains and gives a lot of natural shade in winter. And it's a special place where you can just sit down and relax in the shade of the mountains when it's so hot in summer, and stay for a second before you continue your trip. This is a very quiet place and not a lot of people are actually coming here because they simply don't know that it exists. So it's one new place I'm quite sure we've discovered for you in today's video. And there's going to be a second one that we'll show you shortly. Many people here have their houses that are also inside of the rock. And inside of these houses, there is a very particular designs, because a lot of these walls are not straight. The walls are actually the part of the natural rock, which makes these houses very chilly in summer. The heat of the outside doesn't come inside of the house, and the rocks maintain the temperature very comfortable and cozy. And in winter, it helps as well. Thus, these houses have typical, very special microclimate of the mountains. One of the bigger squares here is a part of the bar, cafeteria, and restaurant, surrounded by natural typical flowers of the region. Be careful because some of them are poisonous or can cause allergies, but not these ones. Gorgeous roses are also here in the area. This is the older part of Guadalest, and when we get back towards the parking lot, here you have some more typical shops where you can buy some souvenirs. There is a lot of touristic apartments in case if you want to spend the time here in the area, maybe a day or two, to enjoy the nature fully. And there is even a hostel that has an incredible views, and the terrace, that is this one right here in front of us, that has the symbol of the keys, black and white. This is the hostel where you can stay and wake up with the views of the Mediterranean Sea and the valley. From here, there is the last thing that we would like to show you here in Guadalest, which is a gorgeous, stunning viewpoint. This is the one that is situated already at the end of Guadalest, so not a lot of people actually know it exists. And it's this one right here in front. It has a natural water fountain, and obviously you can sit down here, relax, even meditate, do some exercise, read a book, a newspaper, grab some snacks, and enjoy the views and the silence at this particular part of Guadalest. It is quite windy as well in this particular area because it is open towards the wind, with quite a few benches to sit down, slightly tiny piece of a natural shade. These are the views that you will have from this area. Great place to relax, great place to enjoy the nature. This is how gorgeous Guadalest village is looking like right now. Stunning views, a lot of small squares like this one behind us, where you can enjoy some quiet time in the village. You've seen prices for souvenirs, you've seen places that we did not discover before. Today was the first time. Thank you for accompanying us on today's sunny, nice and warm video from famous Guadalest village outside Benidorm town, beyond Benidorm, and we'll see you in a new video here on the channel very soon. Bye, dears.